everybody, and welcome to Bounce Checks. Bounced Checks. I always have a problem saying it. I don't know what's wrong with me. We are your Big Brother coverage over here, brought to you by Silent Podcasts, where anything but silent. And we're here with another episode of our Feed Bites. I'm your host, Katie. I'm here with my special guest host, Javier. Josie was not able to make it today, but super happy to have Javier here with me. And we're just going to give you a quick bite-sized update about all the mess that has been going on this week before we send you off into the veto episode. Javier, how are you?
I'm doing very well. The feeds have been a complete insanity for the past 72 hours, so I'm excited to talk about.
Yes.
I don't think we'll be able to touch upon every little thing,
Yes.
but hopefully we can hit upon the big points of what has happened in this past 72 hours or so.
I think we can get to it. Let's just jump right in. I mean, our nominees are Cameron and Riley. Hisam won the veto, did not use the veto. The target has been Riley, and he's been pretty firm on that all week. I mean, he's been a little bit almost like, do we want to say threatening? Do we want to say firmly telling everybody that she's the target and she has to go? I mean, he kind of threatened Matt a little bit. Give me what your thoughts on Hisam's HOH so far, because there's a lot happening.
I mean, Hisam's HOH has been, I like a forward player. I like a direct player.
Yeah.
But Hisam has been almost too intense. I wouldn't say he's been I wouldn't go as far to say he's threatening anyone, but I do think he's been very intense and he's been too direct. He's telling everyone Riley has to go. If you don't vote for Riley, you're going to be one of the only people who's not voting for Riley, and then you might make yourself a target. And so so it has been a very intense HOH from Hisam and very interesting gameplay. I didn't think Hisam would come this hot as an HOH.
I know.
Especially since he's now he's also kind of like a comp beast too. Maybe if you're going to be a comp beast, don't also be a polarizing personality. You got to pick one. So
right. It's one makes you enough of a target. Don't be both.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, it's been giving me good feeds. I like Hisam's bluntness. I think it's very entertaining. I wouldn't play the game like that, and I don't recommend anyone plays the game like that. I don't think Hisam, this gameplay is giving him, I think he's going to be pre-jury basically based on this HOH. Clearly everyone's going to get tired of this, almost being talked down to or being told what to do. No one really wants to play like that. So
yeah, totally. I mean, Hisam's whole HOH so far has just been based on honor and integrity, and I would never backdoor someone because that's not the player I am. Meanwhile, everybody in the house is plotting Hisam's backdoor for next week because even his alliance, he's out. It seems like the professors are just falling apart at the seams, and we can talk about that a little bit too really quickly. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a mess with Hisam. I mean, I thought it was a really bad move for Hisam to win HOH, but then I saw the competition. We saw the Nether Gorgon, and it seemed like he kind of just accidentally fell into it because Jared was trying to win HOH for some odd reason, which would have been terrible for his game. Yes. So it's maybe better that Hisam won, plus we're getting just this mess of a week. I mean, he basically told Riley, well, you polarized the house and you made the sides exist. So I'm coming after you and you're my target and everyone's voting you out and the end. So that's kind of where we stand with Hisam. But let's get into it with Cirie and Izzy a little bit because there's been a lot going on with these two over the last 72 hours, 48 hours. And there's a lot to unpack here. We only have 60 minutes before we get to this episode. So Javier, do you want to break it down? Do you want me to try and give my very quick Cliff's notes of what's been going on? Whatever you want to do.
I'll let you give your Cliff notes because I don't have a Cliff notes version. I feel like I'll just be jumping around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact timeline in my head, but it just seems like, Riley and Cirie and everybody in the house are just getting tired of Hisam. And they also already don't like Cameron, right? That's, I think, a really big part of it is that nobody trusts Cameron. Izzy, there's so many clips floating around on the internet of Izzy just saying, I hate him. I hate him. So they're already wanted to get Cameron out of the house. I don't know if there was one specific instance, and you keep me honest and correct me if I'm wrong, but it just felt like Hisam dictating to everybody in the house about, Riley has to be the one to go. Oh, I guess there was a veto speech, which we don't really know exactly what was said in the veto speech. Yeah. But apparently it was pretty rude towards Riley, or just maybe rude isn't the right word, but it was a little harsh based on the situation. And it made everybody feel pretty bad. So they were like, that's where the flip conversation started. Then it seems like yesterday there was some conversation between Hisam and Jag and Blue that ended up getting back to Cirie and Izzy that made it seem like Hisam was making a deal with them, which we knew he was interested in kind of, I wouldn't say making an alliance with them necessarily last week, but he has a lot of similarities in his culture with Jag. He has a lot of he's in the LGBTQ community with Blue, so he wanted to keep those two close to him. I think I said the wrong names at first, but I'm talking about Blue, Jag, and Hisam. I think I said Riley by accident. And that ended up getting back to Cirie and Izzy, and that's where like the flip went full force, full steam ahead. What do you feel about this flip? Tell me your thoughts on the potential flip that seems like, well, it's been a whirlwind. Who knows where we're going to end up by tomorrow, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no, I know. So here's how I feel about it. I think Cirie and Izzy, I agree with the fact that I would not want to play long-term with someone like Hisam. Don't get me wrong. Someone like Hisam, I would love for the other side to target. You know, my thing with an alliance, especially this early in the game, is if you have a comp beast like Hisam, he will always be in front of you guys. Yes. He will never target you. So let him get out Riley. Let him get out Cameron. Let him. Yes. I still think he would get rid of Jag and Blue before he got rid of like Cirie, Izzy, and the rest of the bye-bye bitches. So I just feel like they're definitely thinking emotional as less Cirie, more so Izzy. We've seen Izzy's an emotional player. She has this like extreme hatred for Cameron, which I'm not sure exactly where it stems from. I understand why the fans don't like Cameron. He's been very creepy on feeds, very creepy towards Riley. But I don't know how much of that Izzy knows. So why Izzy wants to like at one point I think she says I want to kill Cameron. I'm like, girl, like you're doing a lot. So Izzy is clearly an emotional player. She jumps all around. I get that, and I feel like that's getting to Cirie. And I think it's almost like Izzy's like riling up Cirie, and Cirie needs someone to like, you know, take her down from that Izzy high. And I think that it's finally happening thanks to like Nicole and Corey a little bit. They seem, when they're all talking, it seems like they're bringing Cirie back to reality and, you know, getting Izzy out of her ear. So I just think it's a really bad gameplay and it's just too soon. Just let the other house get out Hisam. And I also feel like Riley is kind of the like central piece of that side of the house. You know, she's from the beginning, you know, she started that 5-person alliance, the Phalanx 5, whatever, that didn't work out. Then she became with the handful. So I honestly think that I wouldn't call Riley a mastermind, but in terms of the other side of the house, she seems to be the most, you know, like maybe socially adept in that sense that she's like wanting to build an alliance. So I definitely think getting Riley out is the better move. And then no one likes Cameron anyway. So I think Cameron will be an easy person to take out eventually. So I just don't understand why they really want to flip. I think it's just like the paranoia of being in that house. And it probably is hard to have someone like talk to you all the time the way Hisam does. It's kind of intense having someone kind of tell you what to do all the time. So I understand why, but I just would not do this move. I would like wait for the other side to get Hisam out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. At first, I was excited. I mean, I love a flip and I love just mess. And I'm not a Cameron fan. So I was excited when this move first started getting hashed out. And then, you know, I, along with many others, heard Nicole in the storage room, in one of her many storage room talks to herself. My favorite was the one where they were originally pitching her this flip, and she went in there and she was just walking in circles, just eating snacks and pacing and talking to herself about how bad this move is. And I totally agree with her. Riley, for some reason, even though she's so bad at the game, she cannot have game conversations. They are terrible. Every conversation she has is so bad that she just like the whole house was willing to flip to keep her. And then it's just like she's putting now a target on Cirie and Izzy by saying like they masterminded the whole thing. It's like, girl, just stop. Just stop talking. But you're right. Hisam is a shield. There's no reason for them to get him out so soon and risk having Riley be able to gather the troops around her over the coming weeks, because she obviously is the only one that's bringing people together, whether or not she's good at the game. And I think Nicole said something really smart, is that like she has an army around her right now willing to like die on the sword for her, to save her. Like, why are we keeping her? And she's totally right. I mean, it's fun for us because we love a split house, but it seems like you know, if we do split the house, that would even strengthen Riley's side a little bit more, because Cameron's gone. People didn't really trust him. Then we have Cirie and Izzy and Felicia not really trusting Hisam. So like he could jump to that other side of the house. I don't know, or be kind of on his own. It just seemed like a whole mess. But they really, as of yesterday, were pushing so hard to blindside Hisam on this HOH. They wanted a full unanimous vote to vote out Riley to vote out Cameron instead of Riley, which would have been honestly amazing television, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
upset that we're not going to get it.
The face crack
But
on Heisem would be amazing.
can you imagine? I was looking so hard for the clip from Big Brother 8 where what's his name, Dustin, got blindsided. I was just looking so hard for that to like post it and just say like Heisem on Thursday, but I couldn't find it
Yeah.
anywhere for some reason. But yeah, I mean, it would have been a mess. I'm upset we're not getting it, but I'm glad it seems like they're finally coming to their senses a little
Mhm.
bit. But even this gameplay, they got the entire house to say, okay, yeah, we'll flip.
Everyone. That is
Everyone was ready to flip, and they had plans for people who, you know, I think they were gonna have Bowie pull Red into the Nether
mhm.
region just so he wouldn't have to vote for Cameron. They like planned out the whole thing, and then they're like, actually, let's just vote out Cameron and let's just vote
Mhm.
out Riley instead of Cameron and keep Cameron and go with the plan. It's like, whoa, okay, so you just demonstrated that you can flip an entire house. You have enough social capital to flip an entire house to your side and get everyone on board with you. And now you're just, it's like we have whiplash here.
Yeah. And dare I say that, like, now that they're going back on it, I think this is actually even worse for Suri and Izzy.
Me
Because
too.
Heisem is going to figure out what someone's going to say to Heisem. If someone smart is going to say it to Heisem. And if, for example, like if Jag and Blue were not in a, for example, I'm just using Jag and Blue as an example. If they weren't in an alliance with Heisem, if this happens and then Jag and Blue go and talk to Heisem, then I can see Heisem saying like, wait, what? Now I'm going to work with them. Clearly you guys are
Yes.
masterminding this whole thing to get to like blindside me and then get me out. So it's just like, it's gonna be really bad when this gets out. I unfortunately they need to get Heisem out like ASAP, regardless of
Yes.
whether Riley goes or Cameron goes. The fact that they did all of this mess to then just end up back at square one where they're still gonna want Riley out is just gonna look really bad on Suri and Izzy. And you know, we're already seeing this you know, like Riley spreading this thing that she's that Suri and Izzy are masterminds.
Yep.
I'm sure Jag and Blue are going to push that too. And then that's eventually like the thing with the Big Brother game is when one idea becomes the main idea in the house, it just spreads, you know, and everyone is eventually going to stick to it because that'll give you a reason to get rid of someone. So it just was
Right.
it's just not a good idea at all.
I'm just shocked that it hasn't gotten back to Heisem already. If I'm Riley in this situation, because Riley was in on it too, and now I guess she knows, right, that she's not. I don't know 100% if she knows that it's happening or not, but if I'm Riley, I'm going to Heisem right away and saying, try and rally the votes to keep me because your alliance was going against you behind your back this whole week, and I can bring along with me Jag and Blue and Corey probably at this point because Corey's done with the bullshit. America seems done with the bullshit. McCole seems done with the bullshit. So it's like, you know, Suri and Izzy are kind of pushing their allies away a little bit by just this flip-flopping and this mess and the emotional gameplay that's been taking place. Riley has a really good case on her side to say, Heisem, if I can get 6, just keep me. You can be the vote to keep me we can put past in the past and we can work together and we'll take out the other side of the house. They obviously have a lot of social capital, but luckily for Suri and Izzy, Riley is not very good at this game. So she hasn't even really thought about that.
I think you put it perfectly. Like if Riley were to do that, that would make me think that, okay, Riley's a gamer. Because this whole like saving Riley thing was not even her idea. It's not like she campaigned.
She didn't do anything
she
for herself.
convinced Suri and Izzy, like, come on, guys, we got to. No, it was just Suri and Izzy, for whatever reason, they got tired of Heisem and they decided. So Riley has had no play in like trying to stay safe. And then now that she is playing her own housemates, I saw today on the feeds, Jag and Blue were talking and they're like, yo, Riley, you just got to be quiet. Like they're already thinking this, like they're already like, maybe it's okay if Riley, you know, maybe they're starting to think, okay, if Riley goes home, fine. Like she's already playing a messy game. So she's almost like alienating her own housemates as well. So Riley's just not playing the game that she thinks she is. So it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. I think it could have been really interesting if we did get that gamer out of her, if it exists in her. But you're right. I think the fact that she is talking so much is almost taking the heat off of Suri and Izzy for being so messy because everyone is like, Riley, just like stop talking. So it's almost like she's burying herself instead of people putting the blame on Suri and Izzy, which is so lucky for Suri and Izzy because this could have been catastrophic. It could still turn out to be catastrophic for them because I cannot see a world where this doesn't get back to Heisem, whether it's intentional or not, whether someone accidentally slips and says something, or who knows, maybe one day Izzy or Suri will get mad at each other and let it slip to Heisem and try and I mean, we don't know. These people are cracked.
Yeah.
Totally cracked.
Fully agree. So I'm definitely curious to see, like, you know, I feel like right now they're back on the whole, we need to get Riley out. But we still have 24 hours left until the eviction, so
Anything could
we
happen.
can see what happens with these house guests, you know.
I know I'm worried for them. They need to sleep a little bit. They just need to sleep.
Yes.
I think Riley and Izzy, I mean, oh my God, Suri and Izzy need to be separated from each other. Somebody give Suri some breathing room because Izzy is doing too much. And I mean, Izzy has great feeds. Don't get me wrong. Every time she's
Yes.
on the feeds, it's just, you have to tune in and just watch whatever chaos is happening. But
Mhm.
Suri, I think there's been a lot of discourse on the internet about Suri because this is really the first time that we are seeing Suri play the game in real time. Every other time we've seen her, she's been in an edited format. This is the
Mhm.
first time we're seeing her on feeds. And she even said, I think yesterday or the day before, like, Survivor, we only get a few hours. And then, we go to Tribal, we only have a couple of days. Like, this is really long. And it almost
Mhm.
seems like the format of the game is getting to her. Like, she has too much time to think. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to see Suri play this game after we know her for so long as a legend because she's messy. She's being messy. And I don't know that we see her or we've ever seen her be this messy before in any of her past seasons. So it's pretty interesting to see Suri. And there's been a lot of like Suri haters on the internet, which is Big Brother fans
Yeah.
are so fickle.
Yes,
They'll
that
turn
is
on a
true.
dime.
The moment you do something they don't like, this person's canceled, you know? Like,
Yep.
for example, like, I think Suri and Izzy, that's a bad play, but I'm still, like, hoping Suri and Izzy can somehow, not really Izzy, I don't really, whatever, when Izzy goes home, Izzy goes home. It's good for
Yep.
Suri's game. I'm still hoping that Suri somehow, this is all like a mist, and we're just getting, I've seen some comparisons online of her to, like, Vanessa's gameplay being kind of messy
Mm-hmm.
this way, and Vanessa somehow made it work. So maybe
It's
Suri
true.
watched BB17 and she learned from Vanessa's gameplay. So
It's true.
hopefully she will make it work. And I'm hoping she does. Like, I'm still Team Suri. I just think it was a bad move.
I think so too, for sure. I think so too, for sure. What do you think? I know we talked a little bit already about the move to get rid of Heisem, but do you think that's actually going to be what happens next week, or do you think things are going to go awry again? I fully expect Heisem to be in this house for at least another full week, if not 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I don't know that they'll be able to execute this plan as well as they are expecting to, but what do you think?
Mhm. So I'd agree with you. I don't think Heisem is going to be evicted in the next week or two, maybe 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
think Heisem will be pre-jury, but I guess it really depends who wins HOH from which side of the house. I think if Suri's side of the house wins HOH, they're not going to target Heisem. And we also don't know what, Big Brother's been like, there might be another twist next
Hmm.
week, so we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not sure if Jag and, once Riley's gone, now I'm considering it like Jag and Blue side of the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think that they're gonna if they're smart, they'll make a ploy to like try to get Heisem on their side and target someone in Suri and Izzy's side. So I actually think somehow Heisem's gonna escape by for another week or two. And if anything, if unless they backdoor Heisem, I don't foresee him going home. Or kind of like we saw last season with Michael, like they only got him out in, I think it was the double, wasn't it? Because he like lost the veto.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's the only way they're gonna end up getting Heisem out. But yeah, I think Heisem still has some game left in him. And I can see Riley going home as being like the catalyst for the other side of the house to maybe change their gameplay around a little bit.
Yeah, if I'm in that house, to me, it feels like Heisem is a little bit of a pickup, like an asset. I think he's obviously so good at competitions. He's the best in the house so far. He's won 3 already out of 4 competitions. So there's nothing really saying that he's not going to win more. So if I'm on Suri's side of the house, I would want to keep Heisem just because they need comp threats on that side. It seems like, they're not the most physical side of the house. Who knows what's going to be next? Like, I would want to keep him around for that. I think maybe they've burned that bridge a little bit, or at least in their, mentally they have. But if I'm Blue and I'm Jag, I'm trying to work with Heisem. If I'm Corey and I'm McCole in America, I'm trying to pull Heisem in just to win some competitions because you know where Heisem stands. He's not a schemer. He's not a backstab. I mean, maybe he's a backstabber in the sense of like, he'll put whoever up on the block, but he's not really scheming. He's all about quote unquote honor and integrity. So you kind of know where his head is at all times. Like he's going to do what he says he's going to do. So why not pull him in and keep him as an asset to win a few competitions for you and then target him in a double? The one thing is though, I would not want him on a jury because of that honor and integrity. And I think he would be a very bitter juror. So I
Yes.
do think it's a good idea to get him out pre-jury, but it just feels a little premature to me personally.
I actually have a question for you. This is something that I
Yeah.
was thinking about. I'm thinking like as if I was in that game. Do you think it would be a good idea for Suri and Izzy to like now break it, to somehow try to talk to Heisem before the eviction? Be like, so they were trying to convince us to save Riley. We made it seem like we were going to save Riley, but that was never the plan. So if someone comes up to you and says that, Do you think that's like a smart gameplay, or should they just try to hopefully make sure it never gets talked about? What would you do if you were Serena and Izzy in the situation? You know?
You know, it's a good question. And it's an interesting thought because I think it could either be a really good move or it could be a really bad move for them if he finds out that that's not true. If I'm Corey, I'm using this. If I'm Suri and Izzy, I don't know if I'm going to use this. Like if I'm Corey and I'm already on shaky ground with Hisam and, you know, sometimes he likes me, sometimes he doesn't like me. I don't really know where I stand. And I have this information. Maybe I'll leak it and just say, listen, there's a lot going on. They tried to pull me over. I just want you to know that this was going on. You know, I would probably, depending on who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with, maybe that's where I would shift the blame. And then maybe I would tell my allies, like, listen, I told Hisam that these people started it, use that story, whatever, and then see what happened just to give a little chaos. But I also think Hisam will never forget that. And it could just end up being really dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's not about, I would love to see it.
I
hope someone does it. I want to see Hisam's reaction either way.
We need to see it. Like before Hisam's evicted, someone has to tell this man what happened.
Somebody has to. Last thing about Hisam and this flip before we move on to other things that have taken place over the last couple of days. Do you expect to see a unanimous vote like Hisam is calling for? Or do you think Riley's going to get a few sympathy votes to stay?
I think Riley's going to get a few sympathy votes from people on her side of the house. I see like a Matt definitely voting to save Riley, and maybe Jag and Blue. Those are probably the only three she'll get. If she gets any votes, I think those are the three she'll get. I do think that Riley is going to end up going home. Like, you know, we never know with this cast, clearly, as we've seen these past 2 weeks, what can happen in 24 hours, but I do think Riley goes home, and I don't think it's going to be a unanimous vote. Yeah.
I think so too. I think you're right. I think she leaves. I think she'll get a couple. I know Felicia wanted to vote for her, but I think it seems like there's been a little bit of Riley backlash today because of the way that she was campaigning for herself, or at least like throwing Izzy and Suri's name out there as the masterminds here. So I don't know that she'll get Felicia because of that. But yeah, I think she'll get a few for sure. So hopefully we at least get to see some shocked Hisam.
Yeah.
That's all I want. That's all I'm hoping for. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Mecole, Mimi, and America and Corey. There's been some gaming taking place today. And, you know, even over the last couple of days, you know, Mimi has been very against this flip from the start. And it seems like she is just at her wit's end with these people in this house. She is so relatable. It's like, you know, I feel like I do that at my house. What she was doing in the storage room, I feel like I do that in this room after I get off a meeting that I'm frustrated by. I will do the same thing. So that was like so relatable. I know you love Mimi. She was your first draft pick. She was the first pick of our draft. She went to you. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so the first week of the game, I feel like Mimi was like not really like in any conversation. She was, you know, she was playing a very passive game, and I still don't think Mimi's playing like this crazy, like super. She's the most strategic person in the house because, you know, even though she didn't want this Riley flip to happen, she was still eventually down to go with it. You know, she gave a little bit of push. You know, if for me to call Mimi a mastermind, she would have had to make that push and make it happen. If Mimi would have done that this week, then she would have been like, oh my God, I'm like obsessed with Mimi the gamer. So I'm obsessed with Mimi the person though. Like I said, she's my first round draft pick. I think she's playing a good game. I don't think she's on anyone's radar. And I think the fact that the target went back to getting Riley out is going to do wonders for her. It means that when the news comes out, Hisam's not going to be mad at her and she can continue to play the middle game. I love her little storage room talks. I think last night she had one in the HOH room because it's exactly how I feel like I would vent in this house because I would I'd have to find a spot. I also like it's you know, sometimes a lot of the players like speak to the camera, which I think is great. But I like how for her, she's not speaking to the camera. She's kind of just speaking to herself.
She's just speaking. She's just speaking.
And I love that too. I love how she's doing like her own take of like letting the fans know what's going on in her brain. And I'm just like really loving Nicole's game. I'm loving this new like potential alliance with America. She has a really good alliance. Seems like she has good rapport with Corey, who I think is also playing a really good game now. I think he pivoted very well, and we see this a lot with like those first week like targets. If you don't get them out, a player like Corey, I think we were actually talking about this in the draft, you know, and you guys have talked about it in other Bounce Checks podcasts since. But Corey, you know, saving someone like Corey that first week allows him to now pivot, and I think he's doing a really good job of pivoting. And now I see Corey making a deep run into the game, and I hope it's with Mecole on his side. America, you know, if America helps Mecole, great for me, but I'm still not convinced that America is the most interesting player in the house. She hasn't really given me anything. So
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Nicole has really good game sense. I just don't know that she has the influence yet to really
Yeah.
do that much about it. And kind of going back to your question on would you tell Heisem, maybe that's the right person to do it is go to Nicole. He's in an alliance with her. Maybe she doesn't have to like throw names out. She could just give him a hint of like, hey, I heard some stuff. I don't know where it started, but everybody was talking about it. Like literally everybody in the house was throwing this idea around. I don't know who started it, but like just so you know, just to get in good with him because he is such a comp threat. And it looks like on the feeds today, McCole and America kind of made a pact or a deal with each other to look out for each other. They're both kind of getting tired of the alliances that they're working with. McCole feels like she's disposable to Cirie and Izzy. Cirie and Izzy, I think, are making a lot of really big blunders of not making the people around them feel like they're as valued as each other. And Izzy cannot have a conversation with anybody in the house without saying like, oh yeah, well, you know, me and Cirie, me and Cirie, me and Cirie. It's like, stop, get Cirie's name out of your mouth because you're making not only a target out of yourself, but her. So just like, stop doing that. So it already seems like Nicole is willing to step away from the, is she in the Bye Bye Bitches? Yeah, she's in the Brown Sugar Babe. Yeah, she's Bye Bye Bitches and the Brown Sugar Babes, right? Seems like she's willing to kind of pivot away and start, you know, at least sharing some information with America to just like keep each other informed on what's going on either side of the house, which I actually really like this agreement. And America and Corey seem to really be connecting. So if they can bring Corey into that, I think that's a really dangerous and powerful trio. Corey has had you're absolutely right, such a turn of events for him. And I think he's really acclimated so well with everybody who was like, I hate Corey and I want Corey out of the house. Like, I don't trust Corey. Now it seems like he's in Cirie's kind of trusted circle. He's having good conversations with her. He's having good conversations with America. Heisem seems to trust him a little bit more now. He's really pivoted to being more ingrained with the, you know, the power structure on both sides of the house. So Corey's one to look out for, I think, for sure.
I agree. The only thing I do want to add about Nicole is that I think she's playing a good game, but my fear with Nicole is that I don't think she's anyone's number one.
Yeah.
And in a game where there's like basically two sides of the house, if you knock out, let's say, all of the Riley, Jag, Blue side, and then you get down to the Bye Bye Bitches, the professors, whatever you want to call them, I do fear she'll be like after Bowie and like Red, then it'll be Nicole.
Yeah.
So I do hope that there comes a point where Nicole I don't think she should win an HOH yet. I think she should still continue to play in the middle, but maybe like the week before jury starts or like early on in jury, we need Nicole to win an HOH and really make some strong bonds and become someone's number one, number two beyond America and Corey. Just because America and Corey are also not really the spokespersons of either side of the house, you know, they're also kind of playing the middle. So three people playing the middle, it's not going to work out. One of you three is eventually going to become a target. So that's my fear for Nicole. But I do think Nicole can win comps. She seems very fit. She seems smart. So hopefully she can win like a mental comp or two, the wall comp, etc. So I think eventually there will have to come a time where if Nicole does not win something to get some kind of influence, things could look, she can be an easy target when we're like later on in jury, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's definitely too early for her to start winning. It just feels like the house is unsettled. So who knows what Nicole HOH could do for her. It could be really good or it could be really bad. Like Heisem's HOH was really bad. So yeah, I think it's good for her to kind of stay in the background now. And then maybe in like 2 weeks, win something, establish herself, and then, you know, see where she goes from there. But you're right. It does seem like right now she's not anybody's number one. Maybe she can pivot to being America's number one, but I don't know that would even be that beneficial because it doesn't feel like America has that much social capital yet in the house either. Maybe being Corey's number one would be great, but I don't think it doesn't seem like that's headed in that direction. If anything, it seems like that might be America.
Agreed.
It's something to watch. We'll see. We'll keep a lookout for them. I'm interested in this little trio or potential trio.
They're definitely the three who I'm most curious to see where the game goes for them three, you know. I feel like I have an idea where like a lot of people's games are, like Cirie's game with her alliance, but those three who are really trying to play the middle, those are always the most interesting characters for me in Big Brother, who like they're not necessarily the leaders anywhere, but they have to eventually find a way to come out on top if they want to end up winning the game. So I'm very curious to see what they end up doing.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's talk Bowie.
Bowie. So we can give Bowie a minute or two because that's all we've really seen of her.
That's all we see.
But no, I mean, Bowie. I think it's very funny to see Bowie on the feeds because all whenever we see Bowie, it's just her saying like there's nothing. Like I think yesterday she was like, "Oh, this has been such a quiet day in the house because
Yeah.
nothing's going on." And she's always like, "Why do people come into rooms and not talk game with me?" And it's like, all right, Bowie, so you're realizing these things, but don't you think that's a little weird? Why aren't you making some kind of effort? You know, she says she watched like Australian Big
Yeah.
Brother. So I would hope she knows something about like there's so if you're not talking to anyone, someone is talking, and that's bad that no one's giving you any information. And the other thing with Bowie is that like she was brought into like the professors towards the end, so she should also, to me, that gives me that'll be always be in the back of my mind. Like I was not one of their first few choices. Like then they brought me in, so I would love to see her, you know, try to actually do something in the game. Otherwise, I feel like Bowie's gonna be like, oh, she will make the end, but just like as a like goat, like Bowie the goat is what I foresee for her.
I totally see Bowie the goat. I think I've seen so many tweets of just like people saying everybody's like gaming their ass off and Bowie's just having like a fun summer vacation, which is like totally what it is. Every time there's game talk happening and she comes in a room, it's like the game talk stops. She's almost like a feeds killer. It's so funny. She's just like in another world compared to everybody else. I did see today she said something like, no one's pulled me to talk game. It's like, oh, Bowie. Oh, sweet summer child, Bowie. But it is like almost comedic relief in a sense with all this craziness going on. And she's just like totally in another world.
Fully agree. I think another player who really, who hasn't had much like set, I feel like week 1, we heard a lot about Jared. And I feel like in week 2, Jared has kind of like, you know, I haven't really seen much action of Jared on the feeds really. Like, am I missing something? Do you know of anything Jared's been doing, or has he been like kind of laying low?
Jared, I think, is spending a lot of time with Blue, trying to kick off a little bit of a showman situation. And I think she actually said today that she wants to get him out. So things with Jared are not looking so great. Yeah, I know. I think I haven't seen a ton myself personally. I haven't been watching Jared a ton on the feeds, but anything that I've seen has been just like, oh, here Jared goes, just like talking again. Like, stop talking. His flirting is cringe. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's looking good for our guy Jared here. But yeah, there was a conversation with Blue and Jag today, just talking about how you know, she's like, let's just get him out. So it seems like they're feeling a little bit the same way about Jared that they felt about Cameron, or that like people feel about Cameron, that he's, which is true, he is giving information to the other side of the house. So I don't know. I think things aren't looking so hot for Jared either these days. Yeah, let's get him back on slop. He was able to calm down a little bit.
Send him back to the nether region.
Yeah, go back to the nether region. Things were better for you there. Get back on slop so you could sleep on that bed and, you know, get a little tired, wear yourself out so you don't have to talk so much. And then maybe things will work out.
I fully agree. He did have I did see a sweet moment on the feeds today with him and Cirie. Like they hugged.
Oh, yeah, they hugged.
That was cute. And Cirie was like, oh, like I see you're doing a good job. You know, I'm taking pointers basically. And I thought that was really cute. So shout out to them for finally having like a moment of like, to breathe, you know?
I know, a moment without his sister Izzy,
who she did call basically the sister on the feeds. Also, he goes, "Izzy, you're like a sister to me." So now all the like
Izzy's like, yes, I'm in. Yeah, Izzy Fields.
The Izzy Fields memes are becoming a reality. You know, when Izzy gets evicted, it's gonna be insane. If the Cirie is still in that house, it's just gonna be I fear for Cirie's game when Izzy gets evicted.
Oh, me too. I'm scared. I'm just scared for this secret. If I'm Cirie and Jared, I'm figuring out a way to tell everybody before Izzy tells everybody, because it's going to come out. It's going to come out. Yeah. It's going to slip. It's going to be a mess. I'm ready to see it. I mean, I don't want them to go. I don't want Cirie to go, especially, but you know, it's going to happen one day. I don't know if Cirie is winning this game. I don't know if she's winning this one. Based on the play this week, I don't know if she's winning this one, but we'll see.
Hopefully this is a one-off play.
I hope so.
And she's able to recalibrate and go back to the strategic Cirie that we've seen on the other shows, you know?
I hope so. She just has to pace herself. Just pace herself a little bit. This isn't 39 days on an island. It's 100 days. Yeah. Yeah.
And she actually made a good point. She's like, at least on the island, you get to like walk away. You can't really walk away.
Yeah. There's nowhere to go. Yeah.
And Izzy's like attached to her, so
she's attached. She doesn't let her breathe. And I'm excited to hear from Cirie at the end of the day, once she's out of the house, to see what game she thinks is harder to play. Right now, it seems like she's thinking Big Brother is a little harder to play, because the game doesn't stop. There is no like every other day there's a comp, there's a tribal. It's like, nope, we're going. We're going full speed. Anything else about this week that one thing I wanted to ask you is if you read the PR article that's been floating around the internet today. We're talking on Wednesday right before the veto episode. I think it's in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, about how accessible the house has been made for Matt and what a great job Big Brother's done. Have you seen this article floating
So I
around?
saw it, but I didn't read it because I wanted to watch the episode and see how they handle it. Because it seems like the veto comp involved a lot of like sound slash listening to
Yeah.
things. So I definitely will read the PR article. But from what I've seen online, people are not happy. It seems like did you I'm
Yes.
assuming did you read the whole thing or
I
most
didn't
of
read
it?
it. I had the same feeling as you. I want to see the comp with my own. I want to form my own opinion before I
Mhm.
read the article. But the theory and the suspicion about the feeds being down for I think close to 18 hours or around 18 hours after the veto comp was because Matt was having a lot of difficulty with the competition. It was all audio based, and they were just trying to cover themselves and like shut the feeds down so the house guests could talk about it without it being seen, so it would avoid the controversy. And now it's like they're just throwing out a PR article right before
Mm,
the episode airs to show what a great job they're doing. I don't know. It seems a little suspicious to me the way
shady.
that, yeah, very shady. I
I
just
will
feel bad for
say
Matt.
one thing. I saw a very interesting discourse on Twitter a few days ago. It was like after the HOH, basically, like last week on like Thursday, Friday. And there was like a tweet of someone saying maybe Matt has asked to not have accommodations. So I would love to hear from like, because Matt has like prides himself, or the tweet
Yeah.
was saying that Matt basically prides himself on being able to like, navigate the world even with his disability. So I would love to hear Matt's side actually. And I hope, I doubt we'll get like a DR. I doubt the DR will ask him that. But I can't wait, like once the show's over, to hear what Matt has to say
Yeah.
about how the accommodations been. Has he like, said like I want this or I don't want this? I'm very curious to see what Matt has or how Matt feels or what Matt has like asked or requested for, and
Yeah.
what he has said I don't want. I thought
Yeah,
that was
I
an
would
interesting
love to hear
discussion to
it.
see.
Yeah, that is an interesting discussion. I would love to hear it directly from him. I know, some of the conversations we've heard is that he has trouble keeping up with some of the gameplay discussions and the
Mhm.
group conversations because the conversation's moving so quickly and it's just taking him a little bit longer to process some of the discussions, and he works better in a one-on-one scenario. I think there was also talk about him having trouble hearing the first veto. Did he put whatever one of the competitions? Maybe it was the HOH comp. Hearing the instructions over the speaker, he was having trouble hearing. So I think for the Nether region comp or the Nether Gorgon comp, they gave him the script so he could
Yes, I
read it
saw that.
himself. So, I mean, that's a start. But I think we saw on the live eviction episode what happened in the DR. So it's like,
Yeah, that was really
I don't
awkward.
know. Yeah, I don't know. Poor Matt. I feel for him. It just does not seem like our Big Brother friends had all their ducks in a row
Yeah.
to accommodate. But I would love to hear from him once the season's over, and if there's an NDA that expires or doesn't cover that part of
Yeah.
it. Come on Silent Podcast or anything but silent, Matt. We want to hear
Let
it.
us know, Matt.
Let
We
us
want to
know.
know.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap up before this week's veto episode?
The other thing I did see some like feeds activity slash talk on the Twitter streets, is that there might be some showmances brewing, and we know Big Brother loves some
Yes.
showmances.
Yes.
So Corey seems to be popular in the house. I think I saw like
Yeah.
Riley was trying to do something. I don't know if that was like Riley was trying to do something with Corey,
Oh,
like talk to him, and he rejected her. And now it seems
a
him and
mess.
America have a little thing going on. And then we
Yep.
have Matt and Riley seem to have a little thing going on.
And Blue and
So
Jared. Jared's working on it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like Blue's that interested. But yeah, it seems like there's some stuff brewing.
and I think Jag and Blue also. I think Jag was saying on the feeds that he's interested in Blue as like more than just like his ally.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's the summer of love in the Big Brother
So
house.
I know Big Brother's
apparently.
gonna love this. Big
Oh,
Brother
yeah,
loves their
they love it.
showmances, so we will definitely probably see a segment on this eventually.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we're just going to get a big montage of everybody flirting
Yes.
with each other. I'm interested about the America and Corey situation. This one I'm going to keep my eye out for. These two they're interesting to me. I kind of like the pretty popular girl going after like the nerdy little cat. Like, I think that's cute. Not that I'm like a stan for either one of them, but I just think that would be an interesting pairing and just so different from the showmances that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
So that one I'll root for.
I agree. I definitely would love to see, especially since they seem to be playing like the game a little together. And since they seem to like we mentioned earlier, they're like playing this kind of middle of the house, very interesting game. So I feel like once you're in a showmance, that puts a target on your back. And I think actually, now that I'm talking about it, maybe they wouldn't go into a showmance if America and Corey have like some game savvy.
True.
they might just stay with this weird little flirtation ship thing that they seem to have going on. And since they seem to have some game savvy, they won't, because that does make you a target. And if you're trying to play the middle, I don't think a showmance has ever played the middle. Like, it doesn't even sound possible, you know?
It's true. Maybe they'll be like Derek X and Claire and hit it off in the jury house if they, or after the season, if they make it there.
I think that's the only other thing that has been happening besides the whole like flipping. There's been some showman stuff. Any other player we want to talk about?
Anything with Felicia? Have you been on Felicia watch? Any fun stories for her? I mean, I know her this week, my favorite segments of the feeds were her calling Big Brother Mr. Big and asking for groceries. That's like
groceries.
She's an icon. She just needs to, even if she's evicted, she just needs to be in the house for the rest of the season, just like ordering them groceries and just talking to the cameras, because it actually gives me life.
Yeah, like tell me why I was excited when I saw the feed update that she got her butter.
She got her
butter. I was
butter.
like, yes, she got her butter.
Butter.
Now she just needs her jelly beans, apparently.
Yes.
She's like
Did she get her kettle chips?
I'm not sure actually, but I saw like a clip of her saying jelly beans is my only snack that is, you know, that I need, you know?
Well, let's get her, because we need to keep this woman happy, because she's a national treasure. An international treasure.
Her mics have been safe, so that's also a positive on her. No more mic
I
drama.
did see some discourse today that maybe like the mic broke or something happened to the mic. I don't know. There was some mic discourse today, so I don't know. We might be down another mic. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just love her so much. She just keeps me happy whenever she's on the feed. My favorite thing is when someone's having a game talk away from her and you just hear her laughing.
Her laugh in the background.
I just want to know what she's talking about. Like, I just love that she's always
What
around.
was so funny, Felicia? Let me know too.
I know. Let me know. I want to know.
Yeah, no, I love Felicia. But I mean, in terms of the game this week, I think she's been like, she hasn't been doing much of the talking. I feel like she's like, sure. And now that they're against it, she's like, sure, like let's get Riley out again. So
yeah,
which I don't think is a bad move.
I don't think she's in a bad position. I think she is playing and she's having really good game conversations, but she's not out front. Suri and Izzy are out front. And I think she can recover with Hisam, whereas Izzy and Suri, if it gets out, I don't know if they can recover as well. Valencia let us know that she dropped it or it slipped, but it didn't break. So we had a close call with the mic, but it didn't break. We're okay.
Wait, I love how we haven't even talked about the other person on the block. I just thought of this because someone in the comments said it.
Natalie says, is Cameron even going to campaign? Have we heard one game conversation from Cameron this whole week?
I just realized he's the other person on the block and we didn't even touch, because he has done nothing on the feeds. Like if he stays, it's not because of anything he's done.
Nothing at all. I guess because Hisam was like, it's going to be unanimous and I'm going to make sure it's unanimous. So he didn't feel like he needed a campaign, but I mean, come on. Flips happen, as we see. It's very easy. Hisam's power is gone. He didn't use the veto. He's just sitting in an HOH room now. He has no power over the house. So it's interesting that he hasn't really done or said much of anything this week. Yeah.
Which,
and Valencia said, where's Red? Which is another good question. He's been also complaining about the butter. Though. He's always in the kitchen. He's always cooking. Snacks, apparently. Yeah, he was making food the other day when I was watching the feeds, and then he put it all in tinfoil and left it on everybody in the comic room's bed, which I actually thought was kind of cute. That's like he was just like making little plates for everybody and leaving it on the bed. That was nice.
Yeah, Red in terms of game, I have not seen Red on the feeds talk of game once. No, like even at least Bowie is aware that they're not talking game to her. Red has not said a single word about any gameplay.
And I think the plan was even to, if Bowie, or when I guess Bowie has to pull someone into the nether region, they would try and convince her to pull Red so he wouldn't have to vote his friend out. So it's like they're not even including him in the vote. It's like, oh no, we'll just cancel his vote. Like it's like he's not even there.
Yeah, I foresee Red is going to play similar to Bowie. They're going to stay in the house as long as the house needs those two, like Bowie and Red. And then when someone wants to get them out, no one's going to try to save them.
Yeah, they're going to make it to like final 6, final 5.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be there. They'll totally be there.
Maybe Red the comp beast is coming. We'll see.
Maybe. You never know. You never know. Okay, Javier, if that's it, if nothing else, we have a few minutes before the episode. We'll go and get ourselves settled with our evening snack and tune in to Big Brother. If you're watching us live, we're recording it Wednesday, right before the veto episode airs. Anything you want to plug? Where can everybody find you? Tell us everything.
Yes. So, everyone can find me at _thestarboy on Twitter. That's where I tweet all my thoughts on the feeds, all my thoughts on the live episodes, and a bunch of other reality TV shows I'm watching. Catch me there, and you can catch me here on Silent Podcast. I just did a podcast a few days ago for the challenge on episodes 1 and 2 with Katie and Josiane. And I'll just be out here guest starring in these because I love to talk about these shows that I love, and catch me here on Silent Podcast.
Yeah, we love having Javier guest with us. We're just going to make him guest on everything until he becomes
Yes.
our regular co-host. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. Josiane wanted to be here, but she got stuck with some work stuff, so she was not able to join me, but she will be back next time. We will be back on Friday with Bounce Checks, talking everything with the week. We'll rank the players. We'll do all the stuff that we normally do with Isaiah and Josie back. I'm not sure if we have a guest. We might. You never know. Sometimes people pop in at the last minute. So join us there Friday. I think we'll be on around 8 p.m. Eastern. And in the meantime, you can find me on Twitter at RealSlimKatie. You can find me here on Silent Podcast. This is day 3 in a row. As Javier mentioned, we just covered Challenge USA episodes 1 and 2 on TJ Hates Quitters. Yesterday, Carrie and I were back from a very short hiatus, talking all things Bravo on Pod What Happens Live. And then I will be back on Friday, talking all things, again, Big Brother. So catch us there. And if you are listening to us on our audio platforms, follow us at silent_podcast on Twitter to keep up with everything that we are doing these days. You can also follow us on Twitch and on YouTube. Just search Silent Podcast on all of those platforms. But listen to us on, if you're not listening to us on audio platforms and you're watching us on YouTube, you can find us on audio on all your podcast players. Like, comment, subscribe, leave us 5 stars. It helps us out. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back on Friday. Have a good night. Enjoy the episode. And I hope if you're listening to this in the past tense, the competition wasn't too painful to sit through. You never know with these episodes. And we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.